All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome to episode 11 of the Xtra Mile podcast. We are here today with a good friend of mine and actually a business partner of mine. And we're going to talk a lot about, some things that we deal with in business. We have similar industries. We also deal with a networking business and a networking for business relationships. So we're going to talk about that. So guys, stay tuned. We got an awesome episode ahead. I'd like to introduce you guys to my friend, Ashley Burkeen. Ashley, say hello and tell everybody a little bit about yourself.
Hey guys, Bobby, thank you first for having me come on. I was so excited whenever you reached out. I think we tried to do this on my end one time, and I'm not a good interviewer, so hopefully I can be a better interviewee for you this go around. Like Bobby said, we are business partners. We are also in similar industries in our other businesses that we run. So my husband and I own a contracting company, and we're regional partners in a networking group. We live in the state of Missouri. We love our sports. So just like you are told about Missourians, that is factual. We are a huge sports city here. I live in suburbia of St. Louis, but close enough that if you ask me where I live, it's the STL. So yeah, I'm a mother of two, wife of one. I say it that way because Bobby, sometimes your wives are raising you guys. So that's it. Other than that, and I'm weird and I like to have a good time. I don't take life too seriously. I mean, that's really all you need to know till you get to meet me. So
I like that. I always use, and I'm sure he's not the one responsible for this quote, but it was Van Wilder, the movie Van Wilder, right? And he says, don't take life too seriously. You can never make it out alive. And I know it wasn't his quote, but I always give him credit for it because I thought that was just perfect. We got to have fun. We got to have fun. If you're not enjoying life, you're not doing it right. That's for damn sure.
Yeah. Wouldn't you want to dance through the rain instead of be the cloud of doom that follows people around? Because I'd rather be dancing,
I like that. I have a video of me and my daughter dancing in the rain at our old house. And I don't even know why, but it was like Edward McCain, I'll Be, and we were just dancing in the rain out in the sidewalk. So yeah, got to dance in the rain. So Ashley, I want to talk about, because again, we do have similar industries. I want to talk about a little bit how you kind of navigated your way into that. I know that that's a husband-wife ran business, which is awesome, by the way. How did that all play out? How did extreme remodeling kind of come to be? And how did you find yourself in the co-pilot seat and in the pilot seat?
Yeah. Co-pilot. My husband is definitely the talent in that industry. I just am a co-pilot 100%. You said that the right way. So one day, I can't wait for him to tell this story, but he still gets emotional over it, and you'll find out why in a second. So when I met Ryan, he already owned Extreme Remodeling. It was already LLC. He worked it part-time on the weekends when he wasn't working as a union bridge painter, but they were painting bridges and superstructures. So like the dangerous stuff, right? 5 people die in the industry every single year. They travel a lot. Yes, there's great benefits and you get paid well, but like at what cost, right?
Right, exactly.
And so he would come home from that and he'd go right to work. And sometimes I'd go with him and I'd, not do much. I'd sand the walls, which I became really good at because he's a perfectionist, as I'm sure you can imagine.
Like sanding drywall?
Yeah.
Forget it. Forget it. And that's coming from a roofer, like, forget it. No, go ahead. All right, go ahead. Continue.
So I would do that just so we could spend that time together because he was trying to build a business to get away from that, well-paid but crazy industry that he was in. And, about 5 or 6 years ago here locally in St. Louis, the bridge that he was working on, he was driving into work, and the person that he was going to release was unfortunately lost their life from a safety issue on the bridge, right? He was going in to relieve him. So at that moment, even though he knew that it was a dangerous job and industry, it was really close to home at that time, right?
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah, so let's see, my son's 9 now. So my son was only 3 years old. The youngest was only 3. So then a couple weeks after that, they go back to work, and a friend of his that's only in his early 40s has a heart attack on the job site. Yeah, so he came home and he's like, I'm done. It's not worth it. I can't do it. I'm going to go full force into extreme. At the time, I was doing direct sales and then trying to be a financial advisor. And like I said, he's the talent, but he had never ran business. He was just not just a foreman, because that's a big job, but he was a foreman in the construction industry. He had no idea on the business side of things. Well, I come from a restaurant background of managing other people's businesses for them. So it was like a partnership that just made sense. I could do the business side of stuff for him. He was the talent and had all the resources. And then we came together and found out our strengths. So that is how that merriment happened in the business world with Extreme. So yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's really cool. And it is really amazing how many moving parts there is to a business. When people talk about I'm going to start my own business, or the people that are like doing one part of something, and I often see like people that manage a business for other people. They're like, I just did everything until they really have to do everything, and then they realize like there's a lot to this. So it is a challenge, and you need somebody that's got, especially in the restaurant industry, where you get that customer service mentality, right? Where
Mhm.
it means so much to make sure that customer's happy. I kind of had that similar, like I worked at Walmart as a customer service manager. Like we would do whatever, it didn't matter what we did up there, that whatever we got to do to make them, that's what we did. And so having that follow me along kind of helped, because I otherwise wouldn't have had that customer service mentality. So I
Right.
can see how that partnership really, really works well together, because I've got a ton of family that have been in construction forever, but every time they've gone to start their own businesses, they realize there's a lot more to it than swinging the hammer and making sure somebody else knows how to swing their hammer.
Exactly.
So yeah, really, really awesome. And I'm super happy to see you guys finding success the way that you are. It is so awesome. I love watching people win. And so when I see your guys' videos and I see Ryan on there explaining some stuff, I'm like,
I
this is
know.
it, man. This is it. Yeah, it's really awesome to see.
I know.
So at some point, I'm guessing you guys realized the benefit to the networking relationship, business relationships. How did that all play out? How did Master Networks even become part of what you guys were doing? How did that play out?
Yeah. So I was a financial advisor when Master Networks came into my life. That was the first time somebody was like, you should network. That's how you build a financial advising business. Let's be honest. That referral partners, right? And I tried a couple networking groups out, and which me, Bobby, I don't really know a stranger, but they still made me feel that uncomfortable feeling whenever I walked into the room of like not knowing anybody, or maybe they were just a little bit more suit and tie than I am. You know what I mean? It still made me feel uncomfortable, even though I could talk to anybody. Well, then somebody that was an influencer in my life brought Master Networks up and said, hey, you have a conference room. You should start your own chapter. You can do your own thing. Never was I ever invited to a meeting. Never did I even see the model. I just said, okay, like they were an influencer in my life. I said, okay, let's do this. And past 3 years, I've raised up in leadership, and now I'm a regional partner. So crazy how things work whenever they work, right?
Yeah, it is. And everything always happens for a reason. I always look back on like how it played out for me, like super bizarre, like near misses in
Yeah.
relationships that led me to have lunch with the guy one day who happened to be the regional partner for Master Networks in this area. And like I could have simply, called out from a lunch meeting or been late, like, and not, this never happened.
Yeah.
So it is really, really interesting to kind of like go back and look at the path and really appreciate it. But Master Networks, I mean, I know for me in my construction industry, in my construction business, I mean, it was a game changer. Like you, I visited tons of other networking groups, and I mean, it was just nothing. I was miserable. I hated going to those other ones. And against their rule, I was going to both. I was going to Master Networks as a
Right.
member, and I was going to this other group, okay,
Yeah.
as a member, right? And I remember that those weeks would come, I'd be like, I hate going to this, and I love going to this, and I was not a partner yet. I was just a member.
Yeah.
And so for me, like, I just eventually was like, you know what? I'm done over here. I got to put my, all into this over here. And it ended up playing out. And then before I even became partners, I had salesmen for my team in multiple different chapters
Yep.
all over the place. And we were just killing the game.
Yeah.
And so, now we're regional partners, and it's been fun. It's been fun. But you
Yeah.
guys are having a lot of fun with it out there. I envy some of your videos when I see them. I'm like, man, I know it's been a struggle. Things have been a real challenge over the last couple of months, but it has been, going back to what you said at the very beginning, right?
Yeah.
Not taking life too seriously. You're having fun with your members, and you guys are building a culture there that is really amazing. Can you talk about that a little bit? And let's talk
Yeah.
about that in a big picture, not just with your partnership with Master Networks, but also in Extreme Remodeling, how important is it to create that culture and communicate that clearly with everyone that you're in contact with?
Well, I mean, it's huge. And so we've found an art of lacing Master Networks and our contracting company together. I mean, 80-something% of our business comes from Master Networks members for the contracting company. Ryan and I both are members, which I think is super beneficial, not just for the referral part for us, because I feel like as a regional partner, everybody knows you anyway, so you may get the referrals that way. But I think that the fact that I know what it's like to be a member and on that level consistently with the other members, that I can kind of help build that culture in the chapters that I'm in, but then go and visit chapters or have other people come visit the chapters and they're like, okay, wow, like we can have a good time. We can make some money, do some training development, but we can have a good time while we're doing it. And they love it. I mean, they want to laugh whenever they show up. I mean, if you think about it, most of these are in the morning, right? You're on your way to work. You either probably didn't sleep because you're an entrepreneur or a solopreneur and you're working your tail end off to make your dream happen. So you either don't have sleep or you're lacking sleep. And then the first thing you have to do in the morning when you wake up is go do and talk business. Like we give you a culture where you are excited to wake up and go to a meeting at 8 o'clock in the morning. You know, we have events where we're not just doing happy hours like some other networking groups. So that's a go-to. That's easy. Now we do those, but like we go axe throwing and we go bowling and we go to Top Golf. Do you mean things that are going to draw out different personality types and kind of like feed into the different dynamics in the group? So I think just a lot of social events, actually hanging out. Now through COVID, obviously we had to pivot that, but we were doing Zoom parties and Zoom happy hours. And Jamie, we were just making sure we're constant in contact with each other. We were dropping stuff off of each other's door and baskets and leaving confetti everywhere. So, I mean, it really is about that relationship and making a friendship with each other. And then the money flows, as you know, being involved as well. So,
yeah.
Did I answer your question?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It is so important. I oftentimes see people struggle in their business and they're not getting the tasks completed or the requests, completed in the way that they do. And a lot of times it's because they don't really communicate like why, right? Like we've all been under, some kind of boss employee relationship where like, it's just do it because I said so. Like, because you said so is not a big enough why for me. So when you spread that culture the way that you guys do, everybody understands why you're doing what you're doing, and then they can get on board with it more, and you can get on board with their, and it's like, that's the part of it. What's really interesting, and one of the things that we started to kind of, sorry about that. I forgot to turn this joker down. Let me do that real quick. One of the things that we tried to implement recently was making sure that not only was our, and this kind of comes, Master Networks has had a tidbit or two on this as well, making sure like not only is our team on board with our culture, but our vendors, like the mailman, my UPS delivery, like everybody that my business does business with needs to understand the culture and the why. Like everybody down from my shingle delivery driver, right? To my dumpster delivery driver, to my UPS, to the guy that does my graphics, like everybody's got to understand why and what we're trying to accomplish, or how can I ask them to properly serve my clients, my customers, and of course, display that message. Yeah. So it's really interesting. Now I want to talk a little bit, something that's kind of fun here. As you know, I'm a huge Eagles fan. Okay. So I know that you had already mentioned sports fans, but you didn't get specific enough. So I'm going to call you out on this. You are a big fan of the Blues, right?
Right. Yeah.
Okay. So I've only been to one hockey game in my life, and I promise you I will change that.
Okay.
I will change that. Okay. I enjoyed it. I really did. And I will do more. So I oftentimes see people get extremely, extremely passionate about a sports team.
Yeah.
Right. They wear the jerseys, they're rooting for them. They're like, you see some of these extreme fanatics, like they'll have their shirts off in 20-degree weather, their bodies are painted, like all kinds of stuff, right? And I oftentimes think to myself, I wonder if that person is that enthusiastic about their career. Are they rooting for themselves and I'm guilty, trust me.
That's so good.
I'm guilty, right? You've probably seen like pictures of my man cave and I'm all Eagles out down there, promise you. But what do you think about that? Isn't it interesting how like people can root for something outside of their own success so passionately. And
Mm.
how do you kind of like take that with, and I see it with you. I think 100% you and Ryan, like, you guys are rooting for yourselves, but how has that kind of evolved, and how do you compare that to your love for your Blues?
Oh gosh. I mean, like, I think you're right. I think I don't think you can compare even our love for the Blues. No, I'm just joking. We are pretty big fans.
Yeah.
I think I love that you said, I've never thought of it that way, but you're so right. Like, is it something like a sports team that people are passionate about their own careers? And I honestly think, I know Ryan and I are, but I think for a lot of people, it's at the sports team, it's on the sports team, win or lose. It's not on the individual. Where in your business, sure, you can be excited, but if you root yourself on and then you fail, which, by the way, remember me, I like to fail forward. It's a lesson, not a failure.
100%.
But if you fail, then guess what? All your excitement goes away because you have to hold yourself accountable. So I think that, no, people probably don't. That's unfortunate because they should have that same passion.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, like, you have to be your biggest supporter. You have to be your biggest fan and believe you can do it. Otherwise, you're going to struggle the entire way. What about you and the Eagles? Do you feel the same way?
I know, right? Like, I got to get myself a Mr. Brightside jersey or Bobby Jones jersey just to, show how much I'm rooting for myself. No, but it was something, actually, I can't take a whole lot of credit for this because Dave Ramsey brought this up, and I think it was the Entree Leadership book. And, he talks about that. He's like, people just don't root for themselves well enough. And, they get so passionate and so enthusiastic about things outside of their own lives. And if they put that kind of same love, because, first of all, and I see this with you, and if I'm wrong, then I'm wrong, you and Ryan both. But when you have that love for yourself, like when you love yourself, you can go forward with that level of enthusiasm. Now, you don't have to get a Ashley Burkeen tattoo or an Ashley jersey, right?
Right.
To be rooting for yourself in the same way and to be, supportive of yourself in the same way. Like, I see that with you guys, but I oftentimes don't see it with too many other people because they're caught up in the same shit that we all were caught up with at one point, the 9 to 5, working for somebody else. And this is the only thing over here I could be excited about. Let me root for that. They never thought about stepping away and rooting for themselves.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting. I just wanted to bring that up with you because I know you're a big sports fan, and I don't get to have this conversation with women too often, unfortunately, about sports and stuff like that as well. So, but it's really awesome.
I'm only laughing because whenever we have season tickets and our friends have season tickets and we'll trade so we can have 4 people go at a time sometimes. And every time we invite somebody, I'm always like, Ryan, does the wife like hockey or is she gonna try to talk to me? Because she tries to talk to me, I'm switching seats with you. So I just had to laugh whenever you said that because I'm the same way. I'm like, tunnel vision. We're here to watch the game, but yeah, go ahead.
It's awesome. I mean, I compare business to sports in a lot of different ways, especially like the underdog stories. Like, I love seeing the underdog company come up and, just like you see in some of these sports games where it's like, wait, what? They just beat them? They weren't even supposed to come close. Yeah. And it's like, it's really exciting to watch that stuff unfold. So let's kind of regroup a little bit because I want to talk to you a little bit more about, like, again, the business, Master Networks, where these relationships are taking the business, what your guys' goals are. I want to talk to you specifically, how has relationships, and you can either use, one example or a couple examples, how has relationships just changed the game for you inside Extreme Remodeling, and share an example or two.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think, Extreme Remodeling, yes, we're a general contracting company, but it's become so much more than that. We've become a resource for our clients or people in the community or even other Master Networks members. And that's the relationship piece. Yes, I could probably go to a million other networking groups, get business cards. So if somebody asks for a window guy, I could probably say, yes, here's a business card that I got. But the know, like, and trust that we always talk about in business, that's like business 101. I mean, that really does matter, and it is cultivated through the relationship. So I have a resource to people where I know if they don't do a good job, the client can tell me, and I can have an open conversation so that it can be fixed for next time. Or I can trust that I'll never have to have that conversation because I know that they have the same mindset and they're going to take care of my people for me. And so I think being a resource really has really brought that relationship piece. That's what brings it to the forefront, is being a resource for those in my community, Master Networks members, and my clients.
Yeah,
So
I like that 100%. It's nothing better too than with your client and they bring up something, you're like, wait, I have somebody for that you can really trust and rely on, and that part's really cool. I think what's really interesting for me, especially with Master Networks, and I don't know why it's specific to Master Networks, because really it was no fault of any other networking group that the structure or anything like that would, impact my approach. But for me, when I walk into Master Networks, right, far before becoming a partner, I never thought about doing business with anybody at the table. What I thought about was, I want to earn their trust and respect, and I want to show them how I can help their friends and family. I've had conversations with some of my members here, and they're like, well, I haven't done any business with anybody in the chapter yet. And I'm like, shoot, some of my biggest referral partners I've never done business for.
Yep.
So I've gotten more business from people I've never done business with. Yep. What does that tell you? So like, our goal should never be, hey, let me, like in a conversation, let me sign a contract with you. No, I want you to trust me enough to know that I'm willing to do what I have to do to help your friends and family. It's like that contributing mindset that we talk about in Master Networks all the time. Like, I want to go forth to help. And if they think anything other than that, you're not getting business. And that's just the reality of it. But I always thought about that. Like, when I walk into a Master Networks group, I don't look around the table and say, I want to do business with everybody in here. I want to earn the business of the people that they know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, right? Absolutely. I mean, you have to think almost deeper, on a deeper level than just the people in the room. Right now, 100%. Is it beneficial? And you're a rep, so you understand this. Is it beneficial that the people that you walk in that are in the room? Yes, because those could be a resource for your business. But as far as me getting the ROI from the people in the room, I never walk into a room looking for that. I want to know who they know.
Yep.
Because I'm with you. Some of our biggest referral power partners have not done one piece of it. I mean, we've never even fixed a door handle for them. Do you know what I mean? So,
exactly. And that's it. That's it. I've gotten so much business from people I've never done business with. And I just think that's what we're looking for, the trusting relationship, because the reality is it's not like we're looking to take anything from them. We're truly looking to help their sphere, like their people and their network. We're looking to help them. And if that's the case, then by all means, have the conversations, do what's necessary. So, all right. So I asked this question to everybody that comes on my podcast. Obviously, the name of the podcast is the Xtra Mile Podcast. Yeah. And so the reason for the name is, throughout my lifetime, I've done some things that have just been above and beyond, like really far outside of the norm or the standard. And so those things have always paid dividends for me that I'm continuing to see impact from today. Yeah. How have you gone the extra mile throughout your life? And you could bring up, one example, you could bring up two. Are there instances where you remember going above and beyond, and how it really changed something significant for you in either your business or in your life?
Yeah. And this is going to be kind of like, it's not going to probably be a typical answer that you get, but
great.
Great. I think sharing, for the contracting business, maybe it didn't benefit anything, but for the Master Networks business, 1,000%, sharing my mental health struggles with people on a platform at Connect. Whenever Chris, I always say his last name wrong, Natsky, or oh gosh, I'm sorry, Chris, if you're ever watching this, but sharing it there. It's made a difference in my business, because I think that people think you can't have mental illness and be a successful entrepreneur or business owner. And that's just not true. You just have to fight a little bit harder for it, and so to be that person, I mean, I made a live video not too long ago where I just kind of laid it all out. I was like, if you think that I don't struggle to get out of bed, you're crazy. Like, I do. I struggle to get out of that sucker. I had so many people reach out to me that are in Master Networks, that aren't in Master Networks. I was like, oh, thank you so much. Like, I didn't think I could be successful. Or, there's so many leaders out there that have mental health that just don't share, that are super successful. And so, like, that's the one thing I think the extra mile was, sharing that and being vulnerable on something that's scary to talk about. And I think it helped my business in the way people are like, okay, I can trust her because I know that she's going to be open with me. And if I have these struggles, that's somebody I can go to and talk to about it. And they're going to say, hey, so what? Let's dance in the rain and let's move forward and do the next level in our business, because we can do it with or without this craziness that goes up the top, right? So not your typical answer, but I really feel like that's probably the best
That
thing.
was a great answer. And again, I really love what you and Ryan both have there going on, because, first of all, I feel like you know my story, that, I've had some uphill fights and stuff like that as well. But regardless of what the story is, getting the story out, getting the poison out. I mean, it would be easy for people to look at you and Ryan and be like, look at these two perfect people. Right. But when you tell them, hey, listen, I've struggled with this, you become human. They're like, oh shit, you know what? I can relate to her.
Yeah.
Now it becomes something that people can really get behind. They understand that we're all human, right? We're all not just trying to push our business down somebody's throat. We're not trying to sell them on something every single time we talk to them. We're trying to bring value. And it's funny because people will make excuses, right? People will blame not trying on so many things. So, that's something we can kind of get into. I like this. Let's stick with this for a few minutes, because I think it's really important. Brian Tracy talks about the power of self-discipline. And he talks about that successful people and unsuccessful people don't like to do the exact same things. They don't like to do it.
Right.
The difference is the successful people get up and do it because they know what it's going to do for them. They love themselves enough. They have the self-discipline enough to go ahead and get it done. It's the same shit. It's the same alarm clock. It's just that the successful person is willing to do it. They don't want to get up either. They don't have no special gene that says, oh, it's 7 a.m. I must get up with my positivity and happiness. You know, like we're just willing to do it because we know what it's going to do for us. So let's talk about that. Your experience, you deal with a lot of business owners in your area, right? You've talked a lot of them about master networks. I'm sure a lot of them are people that are just starting businesses to people that have been in business a long time. And what do you see are some of the reasons why people aren't willing to either take their business to the next level or even take the leap to start the business in the first place? What are, talking about the excuses and talk about that a little bit. What do you see, and what message do you want people to hear, if nothing else, by the end of this podcast about those fears and those self-loaning beliefs?
Yeah. So for most of the new people, I think that they're pretty excited. I think sometimes they don't understand what it takes. And so when they hit that first bump in the road, instead of asking for advice, they think that that's a failure if you have to ask for help. When in reality, there are trailblazers out there for a reason. Like, we learned from you. We got a great system because we asked you advice, right? So I think for the new people, there's that. And then I think that there are some people that have been in business for a long time that are just super complacent and happy that they can pay their bills at home. And that's okay. And here I come from a family full of entrepreneurs, middle-class family. I mean, aunts, uncles, right? Everything. But they never have ever tried to take their business to that next level. Like, it's almost like we're the first ones that were like, no, we're not just going to have carbon copy, bills or whatever, and you're going to pay me cash today. Like, we're the only people that have ever taken it to the next level. And I think that has to do with, I'm paying my bills, I'm not in debt, and I'm just satisfied with where I'm at. I think it might just be a mindset thing and maybe a generational thing too, where the older business owners that have been doing it for a long time, they come from where all you had to do was work. So the pride in owning your own business is not having a boss, not necessarily being uber successful, right? But it may be successful to them. So that's what I've seen here. But again, we embrace each other here. You either want to help or you're just not interested at all. But most of the time you want to help. So.
Yeah. I talk about it often enough in my story. Is like, when I first started the business, I had some people come to me and was like, what if it doesn't work? What if it doesn't work? You shouldn't do that. You shouldn't do that. And I look back and I'm like, what if I would have listened to them?
Right.
Like, I mean, seriously, like it scares the piss out of me because I know that their heart was in a good place. Like, yes, they were fearful, right? Because they were probably in a similar position and decided not to take the leap because of their own fears, right? And they felt like they did the best thing, and now they want me to do the best thing in line with what their fears and their comfortability was. But when we do against that recommendation, they got some real uncomfortable truth to deal with.
Yeah.
Because when we show those people who said, hey, listen, what if it doesn't work? You shouldn't do that. It's risky. It's scary. It's, not practical and all those things. And then we win.
Mm-hmm.
They have to deal with the idea that, damn, they could have done it too. And they
Yeah.
just weren't willing to.
Well, then
So
that's how haters are formed too, right, Bobby? I think
yeah,
that's where you get those haters at.
absolutely. Oh yeah, of course. And it's unfortunate because, even the people, I mean, gosh, there have been some people that have done not the right things by my business and done things to me or done things, and said things. And I hold nothing against, like, I wish them the absolute best 100%.
Yeah.
So when people have that hate, it just, man, it makes me feel so bad for them. Honestly, like I know it seems normal for you, I'm sure, but when people are listening to this, they're like, what do you mean? When people hate on you, you feel bad? Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's something internal that's
Yeah.
causing them to project that to me,
Yeah.
right? They
Yeah.
could be using this time to do some other stuff more productive for themselves. That's for damn sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
So anybody watching, remember, haters, what their opinion of you is none of your business.
Yep.
Just for those of you watching that don't really know what we're talking about, that's what we're talking about. What people think of you is none of your business. So
let's talk about that too, Ashley, because I know over the past couple of years, you've been jumping on social media a lot more, doing a lot more videos, ready to talk to in pretty much any situation, and perhaps outside of your comfort zone, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay, if that's true, how did you adjust your way of thinking to, because I dealt with this, and maybe you did or did not, but a lot of us fear what other people are thinking about us when we do those kind of things. And how did you just like push past that and say, I'm going to do this anyway?
I mean, really, I think it came to, and then again, I still get that doubt. Like, it's not like it's, there's a wall built up and it's not, these people can't penetrate it still. But I think I really had to take a look in the mirror and say, I know I'm an awesome mom. I know I'm an awesome wife. I know I'm good at what I'm doing. Right. And if I have self-doubt because they're putting those little bombs in my ear, making me feel that way, then like I'm not gonna be successful. I have a purpose that I'm doing this for. There's a reason why I do this, right? And so it really was just like, they don't pay my bills. So why do I give a shit what they think about me? Do you know what I mean? They don't pay my bills. Now, if it was my husband that pays our house payment, sure, maybe I'll care what he thinks of I go live about, right? But they don't pay my bills. They don't take care of my kids. They don't go to my church, So
Yeah.
I think you really have to be like, in a year or 5 years from now, what kind of effect are they going to have on your life?
100%.
And
if I could, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. What was that?
No, go ahead. But if they can't answer that, then, like if you can't even see them in your life a year from now, why are you worried about what they have to say?
100%. Yep. I like that a lot. Yeah. Cause I mean, that I think that helps you determine whether or not it's hate or feedback, right? Which is, I think, is important for us to know the difference because, in the mention of humility, right, earlier, we have to be willing to know that like our way is not absolute, right? Mm-hmm. There's got to be a better way. Like in almost everything we're doing, I pretty much accept that there's a better way in some form, right? It might be slightly better. It might be dramatically better, but there's something better. That could be better. We could be doing better about what we're doing. Excuse me.
Absolutely.
So if that's the case, I think we really have to understand the difference between hate and feedback and really, know what to, so like for me, I always look at big picture stuff. Like, I don't give a fuck what y'all think about me. Big picture, I'm going to get on here. I'm going to grab this mic. I'm going to talk into it as often as I possibly can. And there's going to be people that wish I didn't. But guess what? They don't have to listen. Then there's going to be people that say to me, hey, Bobby, I think if you did this a little bit differently on your podcast, you might be able to engage with a different audience. And they might be able to, I'm going to be like, hey, this is a different approach. And I like the idea. If they're going to be in your life 5 years from now, then perhaps you can tell the difference between the two. So I like that. I like that a lot. I always think that people oftentimes assume that other people are thinking about them way more than anybody's actually thinking about them. Like, who are you? Like, you think you're some celebrity that everybody's thinking about you anyway? We talk about that with me and my daughter. My daughter's she'll be 16 in August. And when she's going to, high school, she's going to school. She's like, oh, I have a pimple. I said, but baby, nobody's worrying about your pimple because they're worrying about their own damn pimple. You know what I mean? They're worried about their own damn pimple. So don't be discouraged. Just go forth, man.
That's
So, but I
funny.
like it. I
Well,
like the fact that you were willing to step out of your comfort zone. Go ahead. You're about to add to that.
no, I was gonna say I'm gonna have a 15-year-old in high school this year, so we'll have to be each other's support teams. Me, you, and Heather and Ryan. Yes, I mean you have a girl, I have a boy. It might be a little different, but this is gonna be what proves if he's gonna stay on track or if he's gonna, So
Yeah,
fingers crossed for both of us.
100%. I didn't stay on track, so maybe I can give you a few hints if they are, because man, Lord knows I was a little troublemaker, hellion, but we all go through what we go through. So
Well, we're just gonna be a step ahead of them when they try to pull stuff. That's
I
all.
know. It's so funny. I remember when I was a kid and people were like, we've already, like the older people were like, we've already done this. I'm like, no, you didn't do this. This is different.
Right.
Like, no, it's not. It's the same shit. Generation after generation, we're doing the same shit. You're not doing anything different.
Yeah.
Like technology might have changed, but guess what? It's still all the same shit. Now it's now it's a Facebook message or an Instagram message, what used to be a note, but it's the same content. It's the same shit. You guys, I'll give them credit. They have more abbreviations than we did, but
Oh my gosh. I don't know how to spell anymore. My goodness.
I know it. I know it's true. So we got Connect coming up
Yeah.
in August. I'm super excited to see you guys, connect with you guys out there. What can you, let's talk about that for a second for our audience too. Like, if you guys are interested in stuff like this, if you're listening to this podcast, I hope that you are, listening to it to take tidbits away and to help in your business, because every single week I take something away. So I hope for sure that you guys are taking something away. And if that's the case, we all should be trying to accelerate ourselves in business. How can they do that with Connect? Ashley, how many have you been to so far?
3. I've gone every year that I've been a member. So I think
Okay.
I missed the first one. I think there's been 4, right? Total?
Yeah. So we went 2017 for the first time, me and Mike Lee. Yeah. I think August 2017.
Same.
That makes sense? Maybe. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway. So all right. So, but it's been a blast every single time. Lots of information. And obviously, I mean, honestly, like we've connected there, created the relationship with the partners there more than anywhere else, which I really love. Tell people that are listening about Connect a little bit, what it's done for you and why they should consider coming out.
Yeah. I mean, I think the first misconception about Connect is that it's about master networks. It's really not. I think it gets brought up a couple times because it's hosted by Master Networks. So you may see the Master Networks M somewhere, but it is 100% a business convention. And I don't even think calling it a convention, Bobby, does it justice, right? Like we need to almost come up with our own term for it. But I mean, you don't have to be a Master Networks member to go. In fact, we encourage you if you're not one to go, because there's so much value and information, and the people that, not just the speakers, I get the most, honestly, the speakers are great. I mean, they world-class speakers, but I get the most out of the people that are in the audience, the members, the non-members, those relationships, because it's crazy to think that there are people from all walks of life, from all different states, all different cultures, all different backgrounds. And it's the first time, and I've been to a lot of national conventions for other organizations, but it's the first time that I feel like everybody, you walk in the room and it's almost like church, right? Like, hey, brother, hey, sister, and you hug each other, and they have people dancing at the doors, and the CEOs' kids are dancing there, and they're dressed up, and you know what I mean? Like, it's this whole, almost like a lifestyle thing whenever you walk into the room where, like, you're at church and you're happy just to be there, and it's super positive. I mean, like, when I've never really heard anything negative about it. So, I mean, what's your feedback? I know we met at Connect through being regional partners. I know that we definitely connect and at the events outside of Connect in the lobby and stuff. And you took an extended vacation and hung out down there. And so I got to see you at the HQ office. But I think it's just a feeling that you get. It's like going to church. And I don't want to say that for those of you that are like, well, I don't do it. Right? That's not what I mean. I mean, like, you feel so welcomed and at ease. It's not an uncomfortable feeling.
100%. 100%. And one of my favorite sayings is, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. Well, I can guarantee you, like, in that room, whether you have an incredible amount to contribute or not, there's going to be something to take away from your conversations with almost everybody in the room. And that's the awesome thing. So I'm not going to sit here and tell you that, hey, listen, you're not going to be the smartest person in the room, because we could go to trivia that night and you could prove me wrong. But the reality is like, you're going to have takeaways, and it's going to come, right? You're going to get plenty from stage, but it's going to come at lunch, right? It's going to come sitting around the table with friends and people that you just met from all over the country that are willing to contribute in ways that you just don't even understand at first. You're like, wait, you're willing to just tell me everything you're doing in your business?
Yes.
Like what?
Yeah.
Of course. It's a mindset of contribution, guys. It's awesome. So we do got to start wrapping up, Ashley. I'm thinking a part 2 to this, because, we just kind of like got into the tip of the iceberg here. Is there anything that you want to tell the person that's on the other end of this audio or the video, that's watching or listening and just thinking about taking the leap into entrepreneurship, or maybe taking their business to another level? What would you say to them to get them to hit the NOS button and get going?
Yeah, I mean, you are where you are. Do not compare yourself to the person next to you, because you don't know their whole story and the struggles that they have had. And always be open to listen to the advice of people that have done, or that are where you want to be and have done what you are in the middle of doing. Don't be afraid to ask for help, because I think, trying to do it blind and trying to, you'll be more proud whenever you have better success, because you get help from somebody else. So you are where you are. And like the comparing yourself to somebody else, the Bobby, like that's huge. Don't compare your success to somebody else's ever. Just focus on what you're doing and what your goals are, and use tools and resources to get there, and you will make it. Just keep fighting for it. So
awesome. Really, really good advice. And I certainly love the idea of asking for help, right? People think of asking for help and they think it's a weakness. That's a strength. Asking for help is a strength, 100%. And if you don't ask for help, you will find out your own weaknesses soon enough. Because you'll need the help along the way. Ashley, great words, great way to leave the end of this podcast. Guys, I got it scrolling across the bottom of the screen, but follow Ashley on Facebook. It's facebook.com/Ashley T. And Ashley, if you want to just go ahead and give them the spelling of that, because it is a little bit unique and I like it. So.
Yeah. ASHLEAH. So like Ashleah, but it's just Ashley. So Ashley T.
Perfect. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. Like, it was an absolute pleasure. I really am serious about doing a part 2, though. I think it might be cool. And maybe we can do a collaborative one, me, you, Ryan, and Heather, and we could just chat about like the dynamics of working in a relationship like this, which I think would bring a ton of value to our listeners too.
Yes. Yeah. So Ryan and I are actually in a book writing about being an entrepreneurial couple and owning a business together. So I think part 2, you have the right idea for. Let's do that.
Perfect. Awesome. Yeah. All right. We'll get it on the schedule. Ashley, thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in to episode 11 of the Xtra Mile podcast. Make sure you tune in next time for episode 12, and we will keep bringing you guys the high caliber guests that you expect. Thanks a lot, guys.